YouTube, how's it going? Frogs Angels back with some more NFL content for the upcoming 2018 season. I got my top 10 offenses, in my opinion, in the NFL for the upcoming season. So we're going to break down all 10 of these teams. I got grades for each position group, including coaching / play calling for the offenses, obviously. Some teams that didn't make the list that were very close. We'll go over those teams at the end. We don't want to spoil it here. But let's start with my number 10 offense for this upcoming season. It is the Tennessee Titans. I'm predicting big things from them. Big step up. They had a pretty solid offense towards the end of the year. But QB, which would be Marcus Mariota, I gave him a B+. Didn't have his best year last year. I didn't like their play calling. I didn't like their coaching last year. They make a change. They get the Rams offense coordinator, Matt LaFleur. Obviously, he wasn't in charge of calling the plays over there in LA, but he's going to be that guy here in Tennessee, and I expect him to bring somewhat of a similar offense. And that the main thing I like from that offense is run the offense through the quarterback, build it around the quarterback. Marcus Mariota is a special type of quarterback, crazy athletic ability, but he's a passer first, and the Titans just haven't been doing that with him. So I think that I'm predicting that's what they'll do. So I gave him a B+ for this upcoming season. Running back B+. I like the duo of Derrick Henry and Dion Lewis. That is a very good duo. Pretty even. I expect Derrick Henry to be the starter. So B+ for the running back group. Receiver group, B. Almost gave it a B- with that tight. It's receiver / tight end group. Delaney Walker still a top tier tight end, so that keeps it at a B. I expect Corey Davis to step up this year. Rashard Matthews pretty solid still. You got some other young guys. That's the good thing. Taywan Taylor, Tajay Sharps, they're still young. They could get better. But that tight end group pretty solid. Delaney Walker and Jonnu Smith. So they stay at a B there. O-line A. I mean, on paper, these guys probably look like an A+. At times, though, could be inconsistent. So in that Patriots game, they were letting the pass rush get to Marcus Mariota. But overall, very good offensive line. You got the best players on the offensive line, too, is Taylor Lewan and Conklin. They're both very, very young, so you expect them to get better. That could be pretty scary. So very good offensive line, which is very important. And then coaching, we talked about Matt LaFleur. I gave them a B for that because we don't really know what we're going to get because he wasn't really the play caller for the Rams last year. We expect good things, but I just gave it a B. Kind of a question mark grade almost. But I expect way better than what they had last year. Play calling, decision making wasn't that great for them, so I expect a big step up. They come in at number 10 on the list. On to number 9. Who's number 9 going to be? It's going to be the Chargers. For quarterback, I gave him an A-. Philip Rivers still playing at a pretty high level, maybe not quite as a high level as where he was. We don't really know what we're going to get this year. Is he going to take that step down? I still like Rivers a lot. Gave him an A-. Running back, gave him an A. I'm a big Melvin Gordon fan. I expect big things from him this year. Still young, getting better and better in the passing game. That was his concern coming out of college as a prospect. Wasn't going to be good in that, but he's getting better at it. So I give him an A for running back. Receiver / tight end, B+. Pretty solid tight ends. Hunter Henry still young, could get better. Keenan Allen is by far their best wide receiver. Other than that, nothing too special. You expect big things from Mike Williams, but it's really a question mark there. I was very high on him as a prospect. Tyrell Williams pretty solid as well. Travis Benjamin is definitely a weapon they like to use. As a group, pretty solid. Couldn't put him in that A range though, but very close. Offensive line A-, which is kind of weird because 2 years ago one of the worst offensive lines in football, and then last year one of the best offensive lines in football, and then you got Pouncey in there. You got the draft picks from a year ago, Dan Feeney, Forrest Lamp. You expect those guys to make a big step up as well in their second year. I know there was some injuries in there, but even with those injuries, they still played very well last year. So they get an A-. And then coaching, Ken Wisenhunt, good offensive mind. Gave him a B+. Wouldn't say it's outstanding compared to some of these other coaching, which are kind of changing the game, but very good. So I gave him a B+ there. The Chargers coming at number 9 on my list for NFL offenses going into the season. On to number 8, I went with the Minnesota Vikings. Looking at quarterback here, I gave him a B+. Kirk Cousins coming in there. I expect this by the end of the year for us to come back here and say this should be better than a B+, because he's got very good weapons now. As you can see, if you look down the list a little bit there, very good weapons, better than he had on the Redskins. Not that he didn't have any weapons, but much better now. And I think some good play calling coming to play now as well. Running back B+, Dalvin Cook. I'm big on Dalvin Cook. I want to put this higher than B+, but only played half the season last year, not even. But was on track to be one of the top rushers in the league and can catch the ball out of the backfield very well. So let's hope he stays healthy. But they do have Latavius Murray that's going to get some action as well. So it's a pretty good running back group there, B+. Receiver / tight end, I gave him an A+. I mean, you got Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen. Maybe the best wide receiver duo in football. I do have a top 10 wide receiver duos coming up too soon. So can't wait for that. But do they have the best? That's the big question. But it's very good. And then you got Laquan Treadwell, who people view as a bust, but he is playing behind that great duo. I think Treadwell's pretty solid. And then Kendall Wright, who was the #1 receiver for the Chicago Bears last year, is now the 3rd or 4th guy for the Vikings. So that shows how good that group is. And then tight ends, Kyle Rudolph still playing at a Pro Bowl level. David Morgan, they drafted Conklin. So very impressive group there. I gave him an A+. Offensive line B-. Maybe that's their weaker side is the offensive line. But I thought it played very well last year compared to the year before. And they're very young too. So Riley Reif played maybe his best year out of his career last year. And then Pat Elflein was a great draft pick. And I expect him to get even better. So even though maybe one of the weaker offense lines out of this top 10 group, still stays in that B range. Coach B+, they get DeFlippo from the Eagles. You expect big things from him, but maybe another question mark. You don't really know for sure, but he's a good quarterback coach. We know that. Good game planner. We know that. So B+, I thought fit them pretty well there. So at Vikings, they come in at number 8 on the list. Who's going to be number 7? It is going to be the Green Bay Packers. Quarterback, I gave him an A+, for Aaron Rodgers. I thought about giving him an A here because, I mean, he didn't play much last year. The game when he did come back, he didn't play well, but I think it's because he was still kind of hurt. So you expect it to be back to an A+, so I stuck with that. Running back, I gave him a B-. They have a pretty good group in terms of depth, but I don't have that legit #1 guy. And Ty Montgomery can play. Aaron Jones can play. Jamal Williams, I liked him as a prospect. Didn't wow me, though. Didn't say #1 running back. So they don't have anybody that's like a legit #1, but they got like 3 guys over there that can play the position. So I still kept them in the B range, just B-. I thought suited them the best. Wide receiver / tight end, I gave him an A-. I love the duo in Devontae Adams and Randall Cobb, even though Cobb maybe on decline. If you look at the last few years, he's not old or anything, but there was rumors that they wanted to move on from him. I guess those weren't true, but I do like that duo. Other than that, we don't have legit guys there. Geronimo Allison was actually pretty solid the last few years. They did draft pretty well, but big question mark there. Besides from the duo, nothing crazy. Tight end, they did add Jimmy Graham, so that's pretty solid. He can still play at a high level. Drops somewhat of a concern, but I expect him to be very good with Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback. So I kept it at an A- there. No tremendous depth, but the starters are more important, so they still stay in that A range. Offensive line B+. Maybe it hasn't been as good as it once was, but we keep seeing these random guys come in and they end up being good. The offensive line coaching has just been very, very good in developing, I should say. It has been very good for the Packers. So looking at last year, some people may give him not as good as the grade as this, but I think by the end of the year, we'll be looking at some new name guys that just step up. It just seems to be how it goes for Green Bay. So pretty solid offensive line. Coaching, obviously McCarthy and Philbin. I give him a B+ though. Last year, I know fans, people, experts concerned a little bit with their play calling. So I couldn't quite give him an A. Maybe that's where it was at one point. But I gave him a B+. Still pretty solid grade. I think Rodgers kind of bails him out with the play calling at times, so not terrible, but there was some concerns last year. I know people were trying to switch up who's calling the plays, so we'll see what they do this year, but I still gave him a B+. Solid offense all around, so everyone's doing a good job. Next up on the list is going to be the Atlanta Falcons. Quarterback, I gave him an A. Matt Ryan obviously won MVP 2 years ago, so I could have gave him an A+ here. Last year, maybe not as good, but he's still one of the top tier quarterbacks in the league. Running back, I gave him an A+. I love the duo Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman. Absolutely love it. I think they're both starting running backs in the league. I think Tevin Coleman, once he's a free agent, could be going elsewhere, or do they hold on to him and get rid of Freeman? I think they're both top running backs in the league. I know Freeman needs to stay healthy, but they're both very good in the running game, in the passing game. So I love that duo. I give him an A+. Receiver / tight end, I give him an A. Julio Jones, obviously one of the better wide receivers in football. Mohamed Sanu, pretty solid. And then they get Calvin Ridley in there. So that they get even better there. After that, not too much. Justin Hardy, pretty solid, I guess. Tight ends, not in love with their tight ends. Austin Hooper, not a big fan of him. I mean, he can play. I'm not saying he's bad, but in terms of your number one tight end, then they can get better. Offensive line, B+. I think the left side looks very, very strong. The right side, maybe their weaker point. Brandon Fusco, maybe their weakest point there, but not bad at all. It's just their left side is much better with Jake Matthews and Andy Levitre there. Alex Mack at center. I gave him a B+ at O-line. Coaching, B-. Sarkisian play calling wasn't really there last year. You see the playoff game against the Eagles. It wasn't good. But I couldn't drop it to a C because I know he has it in him. I know Sarkisian can call plays. He's got the talent here. I expect a big step up this year. But as of now, I kept it at B-. With those 4 plays from the red zone against the Eagles, I could have won the game. Very questionable, but it wasn't just that. But another year under the belt with this talent, with these players, I expect better things. I think Matt Ryan should be taking over most of it, honestly. But we'll see how they do it. We will see. So on to the next team. This is number 5. The Rams at number 5. And quarterback, I gave him a B. Jared Goff actually played very well last year. Maybe some people think he's a system guy, but it honestly doesn't really matter if he's a system guy or not. He's still on the Rams. He's still their quarterback. This was a tough one. I could have put it at a B+. I could see some struggle out of Goff here and there. I think their stronger suits are their play calling and other positions, which we'll get to here in a second. Running back, I gave him an A+. Todd Gurley, I think, could be the best running back in the league. Will eventually get to top 10s by position. Will Todd Gurley be my number 1 running back? He's definitely up there. Pretty obvious that he's up there. So I gave him an A+ there. Wide receivers and tight ends, I gave him a B. Borderline could be B+. They do have a pretty good group. I like Brandon Cook's addition. Robert Woods played very well last year. Cooper Kupp was only a rookie last year, so stepping up this year. You expect him to be even better. Farrell Cooper, pretty solid. And then tight ends, maybe no big-time tight ends. I expect Gerald Everett to be a guy, rookie from last year, to step up. Very athletic tight end. So B, maybe by the end of the year, we're looking back at this. It should have been higher, I'm hoping. Offensive line, A-. Offensive line's pretty impressive. They got some older guys, some veterans in there. Andrew Whitworth and John Sullivan, but they're still playing at a high level. Roger Saffold could be considered a veteran as well. Pretty solid. And then Havenstein, younger guy. You expect him to get better. And then you draft Joseph Noteboom as well. So I gave him an A-. And they played very well last year. The Rams ran a lot of those slip screen passes last year. And the offensive line does a totally different thing on that. And they're very good at their blocking on that. Their system is perfect. They got the players that fit their system, which makes sense. I think that's why their offense was very good last year. Maybe no big-name guys besides Todd Gurley, but and that gets me to the coaching. McVay, A. Could have been an A+. I guess we need to see more. Last year was kind of out of nowhere. McVay steps in there and does a great job. So this could be an A+. It's kind of borderline. Let's see another year of this. I want to see another year of Goff, too. Very exciting to see the Rams, not just offense, but defense as well. There will be top 10 defenses coming after this video, so stay tuned for that. But who is next on the list? Coming in at number 4 is going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. For quarterback, game, an A-. Big Ben, maybe not where he was at one point, but I still think very good, obviously. They got that deep ball type of offense. He's obviously one of the best at that. So I debated put this down at a B+, maybe not as accurate as he used to be, but I mean, there's a shortage on quarterbacks, and he's definitely still one of the better ones. So I gave it an A-. Running back, A+. This is what Le'Veon Bell. Obviously, I expect him playing, and he's one of the best, maybe the best running back in football at running the ball and at catching the ball out of the backfield. So I gave it an A+. Wide receiver and tight ends. Gave it an A minus. Obviously, Antonio Brown, maybe the best wide receiver in football. Other than that, nothing too great, but Juju Smith-Schuster could take another step up. And he was pretty good last year, so can he take that step up and make that duo maybe the best receiver duo in football? Tight end, they got Jesse James, so nothing spectacular there. I do love the James Washington draft pick. I think he fits their offense instantly. Could be maybe a candidate for Rookie of the Year. Does he take over as number 2 receiver? Most likely not. Juju Smith was very good last year, but they got a very good receiver group. Could get better than the tight end group, so I kept it an A minus. Obviously, still very good grade. Offensive line A. I can't remember the last time that offensive line struggled. It's been very solid, pretty balanced, pretty good unit, obviously. So gave him an A there. And then coaching, I gave him a B. Kind of a question mark here, somewhat I should say. Todd Haley's obviously gone. Some people were a little concerned with the play calling last year. I thought it was okay. There was some blame going around between Big Ben and Todd Haley. So, I mean, he's on his way out. Randy Fichtner is the new offense coordinator. I mean, he was already with the team, quarterbacks coach. I think he was receivers coach at one point. So you expect it to be somewhat similar type of offense. Since we don't know, I kind of gave it a B there. B plus range if it stays the same. We will see, but I think most of the offense comes from the talent they have. As you can see everywhere, you got A's across the board here: quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end, offensive lineman. So I think that's where the offensive production comes from. We will see how it goes. We'll see. They obviously think it'll be improved in terms of play calling. We will see. We're on to our top 3. It's getting interesting here. Number 3 is going to be the Eagles. Quarterback, I give him an A. Whether it's Wentz, whether it's Foles, I think it's going to be an A. Wentz, hopefully he's still at that. He was a possible MVP. Let's hope he's still at that form. I can see around these parts of the guys' careers, they could have some struggles here and there. I don't expect big struggles, but maybe not 100% consistent because of the injury and because he's still young in terms of Wentz. But obviously A, I think highly of him. I just couldn't give it an A plus is what my point is. Running back, B plus. I mean, that's a good unit. It doesn't matter who you really throw in there. Obviously, it's not top tier, I should say. But Jay Ajayi, I was very high on him 2 years ago from the Dolphins. Excellent at breaking tackles, could do many things. I mean, who else they got? They got Pumphrey they drafted last year. Didn't get to see much of him. Wendell Smallwood's pretty solid. Darren Sproles, how do I forget about Corey Clement? Very impressive last year. They got Matt Jones too. They got a great running back group in here. They don't have no top tier guy, but they have the group that's capable of working with this offense. B plus. Receiver / tight end, B plus as well. Alshon Jeffrey just recently had surgery. Let's hope he's okay. Should be good to go. Nelson Aguilar, pretty solid slot receiver, speedy guy. No really top tier guys. Mac Hounds, they got pretty good depth. Mac Hounds, Mike Wallace, can he still play at a solid level? Shelton Gibson, like that sleeper pick from last year. They had Marcus Wheaton, not much from him the past few years. So they got some good depth here. Just like running back got good depth. They just don't have that top tier guy. Maybe Alshon Jeffrey. But I think they get another guy in there. Maybe another speed guy. I know Aguilar's a pretty good speed guy, good slot guy. He's a free agent at the end of this year. In terms of tight ends, though, they do have Zach Ertz. They did lose Trey Burton, which was a big part, but I like Zach Ertz a lot. So this could be an A minus. It's very close to that range. Ertz could bump it up. It's borderline there. Offense line, gave it an A. Played very well last year. Big part of their success. Just balanced across the board. Great units. Especially when like the Pro Bowl comes along, you know, all these positions I look at single guys, but offensive line, it's always so hard for me to pick apart like one guy from each offensive line. It's such a unit. It's just guys are, some guys would only play that good with their group, their guys. It's kind of special to look at, and this is one of those offensive line groups that's special. Obviously, Lane Johnson's a guy that stands out. But yeah, the coaching is obviously an A+. That's a big part of why they won the Super Bowl. Peterson over there, excellent play caller, and he's changing the game, it seems like. It's just good. He's not afraid to do him, and that's what I love about him. He's not afraid to think outside the box, and that, honestly, I think is, I mean, the defense was big too, the pass rush, but the coaching, the play calling was maybe the biggest part on why they won the Super Bowl. So that gets an A+, and coaching is just a huge part of this for the offense. The play calling, maybe it should say play calling there. Hopefully nobody gets confused by head. That doesn't mean head coach, which some of these teams' head coach is the play caller. But I'm sure everybody gets the drill by now. On to the top two teams. Should be pretty obvious who they are. Number 2 is going to be the Saints. Quarterback, gave it an A. I know it's borderline A+, but Drew Brees, maybe not quite. It's very close, but maybe not quite is where he was in his A+ days. We'll see if he takes a step down. I sure hope not. Very fun to watch still. But he's at A+ range. Very close. Running back, I gave him an A. You know I'm a big Alvin Kamara guy. That's my guy. Mark Ingram, obviously a great duo. He's going to be suspended though, but only for 4 games, I believe it is. But Kamara could take the load. He's a very, very athletic, dynamic running back. He can do it all. Really, what it is. He's just one of those shifty guys that catches the ball in the backfield, but he can break tackles too as just a runner in between the tackles. So they get an A there. Receiver / tight end, I gave him a B. Outside of Michael Thomas, nothing spectacular. Ted Ginn, still that deep ball speed, very good. Cameron Meredith was a good pickup if he's healthy. Traquan Smith, draft pick. Brandon Coleman. Tight ends, Josh Hill, Benjamin Watson. Nothing outstanding there besides Michael Thomas, so I gave him a B. Offensive line gave him an A-. Played very well last year. And, you got a young guy like Ryan Ramczyk, Andrews Pete. 2 young guys that you think could even take that next step up and be better, which could be scary. So, very impressive there. Coaching, Sean Payton. Calling the plays over there. Gave him an A. Couldn't quite give him the A+. Very close, though. Borderline. Maybe some questionable play calls here and there. I think the players, Drew Brees and Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram, get the job done. So, brings us to number 1. Pretty obvious here. It's going to be the Patriots. Quarterback, A+. Tom Brady doesn't show any signs of slowing down, which is absolutely insane. And why not? A+. Makes sense. Running back, B. They have a pretty solid running back group. Kind of another borderline one, B+ range. Sony Michel. They finally got the legit number 1 running back. Are they going to use him a lot right away? Are they going to split with those other guys? So the group, I gave it a B. Again, borderline B+. Wide receiver / tight end, B+. Maybe now no big name wide receivers besides Edelman. I like the Cordero Patterson addition. They're going to use him in good ways. But the reason they get the B+ is because Gronk, maybe one of the more dominant players in football. They got a pretty good depth group, I should say, there. But receiver, maybe no standout. Edelman coming back from his injury. Offensive line, B. Maybe it's taking a step down. I do like some of those guys there. I think by the end of the year, this is one of those position groups where you can come back and say this should have been a better grade because they're good at developing new guys. New guys step in, and they end up being very solid. Similar to the Packers. All of a sudden, they get these new guys and just end up being back on top. So I think maybe we'll come back end of the year. Offensive line should be better than a B grade in coaching. A+. McDaniels, Belichick goes along with it. It's an A+. No brainer. And I think for the offense, if you look at these groups I have here, I think quarterback and coaching to me is very obvious, is the most important 2, I would say. And they get an A+ at both categories, and that makes sense why they're on top here. So the Patriots get the number 1 spot. Other teams that were strongly considered in the top 10, I should say. The Texans. I'm a big Deshaun Watson guy coming off the injury, though. We kind of got to wait and see his sophomore year here. Can he continue to play at the high level? I love their receivers. Maybe not tremendous depth, but I like their duo and DeAndre Hopkins, Will Fuller. Hopefully Will Fuller's healthy. It's really the whole team is big injury concern. Offense, defense, running back. I don't know if it's really there anymore. Lamar Miller, and he kind of needs to go back 2 years ago. Deontay Foreman, solid young guy. Injury towards the end of the season is a little scary. So it's kind of a big what if. I'm a big Watson guy, but we kind of got to see more. Got to hope everybody stays healthy. Everyone stays playing at their high level. Offensive line, don't know if it's that great. It's not bad. But Texans were considered. The Panthers are a team. They have the playmakers. Cam Newton, former MVP, still playing at a high level. They got Christian McCaffrey. Last year they had DJ Moore to the mix. Very good offense. Offensive line maybe needs some work. I don't know if I'm a big Norv Turner guy. In his recent years, I know he didn't have a job last year. They got like the whole Turner family in there. I don't know about that one. I'm a little concerned. So that's why I kept them off the list. The Chiefs, a lot of teams seem to have the Chiefs in the top 10. Very close. I like Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. They got Sammy Watkins in there. I'm a big Pat Mahomes guy. He's been number 2 quarterback last year. Need to see more. Obviously, people are just like saying they're guaranteeing it. Kareem Hunt, pretty solid. So the Chiefs were very, very close to making this list. Just need to see more. Play calling was a concern with Andy Reid calling the plays last year. So we will see. Very close to being in there. Am I missing any team that I strongly considered? I think that'll do it. I think the Raiders, maybe a team that steps up. Got Gruden in there, Derek Carr. Hopefully he stays healthy. The Cowboys, obviously maybe the best offense in football 2 years ago. It's really on Dak. He did not play good last year. 2 years ago, Rookie of the Year. So obviously he played pretty solid. But yeah, plenty of teams you can consider here, but these are the teams that I liked in my top 10. Let me know what you guys think. I want to see your guys' top 10. We got more rankings to come as we're getting towards the 2018 season. Can't wait. Thanks for everyone's support. Been growing a lot this last few years. We want to keep it going. Goal is 10K subscribers. Long way to go, but we know we can do it. We're taking big steps up, big strides. We want to continue to bring this great content and grow even more. So thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe. If you haven't already, that'll do it. Goodbye.